Okay, greetings everyone. Welcome to Gerard Black of the Philippines with the Truth. I'm going to welcome you to my channel. I'm going to welcome all my subscribers, my future subscribers, all my, hey, let's check this dude out. All my scallywags, peaches, triggers, lovers, haters, and commenters. Each and every one of you are special to me, and I appreciate you taking the time to check out my video. Well, it's it's getting close to my bedtime, so I figured let me do this video in case I wake up late or something, and I don't want to be crunched to the clock to make a video for you. Because, like I say, now I go out and play tennis like about 5:30 in the morning. So I wanted to do this one. I was thinking about my first relationship, because now I'm having a baby, and I've been with a few Filipino girls who wanted to have my child. And not only that, even I always known that you know my grandfather used to tell me, he said, boy, don't flock anything that you won't marry. And that kind of always stuck with me, although I never really, you don't really adhere to that, but it made a lot of sense. Like, don't lay down with a woman, unless you are fully prepared to deal with the consequences. And the consequences is that if she gets pregnant, well, then you have two choices. You either to say nothing and let the woman make whatever decision she wants to make dealing with that pregnancy, because it's her choice, her body, her decision. You have to live with it. And if she chooses to have that child, then you have to buckle up for the long ride of 18 years, to take care of that child. And so, I've always, now, I've have, had a woman have abortions in my life. I paid for a few. In fact, Herman Badillo, who was a Republican in New York City back in the day in Spanish Harlem, I went to him because my girlfriend at that time was Puerto Rican, and she was pregnant, and we went to him to ask him for money to pay for an abortion, and he gave it to us. And he also wanted me to travel to Washington with him to help campaign for him or whatever, because I guess he thought that I could have been an asset to him. But at that time, man, oh man, I was in martial arts, and I don't know if some of you guys remember Ron Van Cleef, because I was a tournament fighter. I was a pretty good tournament fighter and katas and all that stuff. And Ron Van Cleef was a brother who was in a movie called The Black Dragon. And uh, uh, I met him, and he saw me fight, and he was going to Spain and asked me if I wanted to come to Spain with him to fight and all that stuff and what have you. And I was locked. I was locked with this thing, with this Puerto Rican girl, and sex was the only thing on my mind. It was the first time I really experienced the joy of sex. So I didn't want to go nowhere, no far, no time. So I passed on that offer to go to Spain. So anyway, you know um and we used to cut school, and we would just stay home, and we would just flock, all day. I forgot how many times we did it one day, and you probably wouldn't believe it if I told you. But that's how exciting it was, to me, to have that sexual encounter. So anyway, so to make a long story short, she got, that's what happened. I had an abortion with her. When I came to the Philippines, you know, I developed a good pull-out game. Some of you may understand that, some of you may not understand that, but those of you who do understand it, I'm the master of the pull-out. No problem, no way, no. I am just as happy. And there's a lot of places you can pull out over. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, when I came to the Philippines, you know, um, you know, at that time I was still coming off the remnants of moving too fast. And in fact, if I took a UA, I probably would have been dirty. But I was getting my foot, I was cleansing out and what have you. Um, and up until then, most relationships I had with a girl were, either moving too fast type of involvements, encounters, and it wasn't nothing. It was only on a romantic side when I wanted to be and I wanted to treat a girl like a lady. When I wanted to romance her, when I wanted to truly appreciate the female body, and I do, so whenever I was in the mood to do that, you saw the bathroom thing, maybe one of my other videos, or whatever. I have to put that one on or show you we can see the whole thing, and uh, um, the woman who I was with, who may have been, a street entertainer, she truly appreciate, someone treating her, the way I was treating her because, I treated her with passion and love and the desire for her. So she got a lot out of it too, just as much as I have, because I'm sure she flashed back to the days when she wasn't moving too fast and she was probably in love with somebody. Not saying that she was in the moment we were in love with somebody. You see what I'm saying? So we were passionate for one another. So, and it worked out fine. So when I came to the Philippines, of course, I told you about my first Filipino girl I had. For those of you who don't remember the story, I'll tell it to you again. I'll tell it to you again. At this time I was, you know, in Cebu around Mango Street. Those of you who know Mango Street, that's the stroll, where, street entertainers and all that stuff, connect, hook up. And, it had a club there that had a live band, and I was into photographing, videotaping live bands. And so I was in this one club, and they knew who I was. They saw the magazine and all that stuff like that, whatever. So, I was one that never wanted to be known for someone that would be picked up by somebody, by a girl, and be taken out of a club. You see what I'm saying? I never wanted to be that type of person that when I walk in, it was like, get them, one of those types of things. So I hung out with them, but I hung out with their pimps, I'll say. I hung out with them, you know what I'm saying? So I would sit outside with them and we would kick it and, like this, whatever. And the girls would come to them because this is what they do. And so, they would talk to me and I would say, look, you want ice cream or something like this? And next door we have an ice cream or something like this. And we would talk for a couple of minutes. And then I said, look, you have a phone number. I said, give me your phone number. If I'm interested or if I want to hook up with you later, I'll call you. And that was my way of accumulating, a few phone numbers from a few very, very attractive girls. And that was my MO, because, I'm not one to be picked up, or won't get picked up. So one of those things. So I was in this club and I was sitting down and I looked on the other side of the floor and I saw a couple of four, two guys, two girls, and three of them were just like, the two guys and a girl, they weren't, really into the moment, let's say. And then this one girl, she was very smiling and very bubbly, one of those types. I could see, she was, she was not with that crowd, So I smiled at her, so I didn't think nothing of it. So, I went to the bathroom, I think it was, and when I came back, she was sitting at my table. I was like, wow, I said, well, hello. She said, hello. And so at that time I said, you know what? I knew what she was doing, what a game. I knew she was a street entertainer. So I said, look, are you by yourself? She said, yes. I said, can you leave now? She said, yes. I said, okay, let's go. So when she stood up and she was handicapped. she was like God forgive me, but she was handicapped. And, it's like when you shake somebody's hand and they're missing three fingers. You don't go like that. You shake their hand as if there's nothing wrong with it. And that's what I did with it. I treated. I said, okay, look, come on. I said, God, you're a very funny cat. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make my first experience with a Filipino girl be a handicapped Filipino girl. I mean, she was cute. I got pictures. I should show it to her. She was cute. So we went back to the hotel room, and you know, you know, I, that night I learned what the kimchi squat was all about. Let me tell you, woo wee. So that was my first Filipino girl. So anyway, so at this time I told the story about the security guard, who was posted up, in his business, his office outside, and had a gun and all this stuff. And I would go by every day when I go to Robinson, and I would see her. And so I asked her one day, I said, "You married?" She said, "No." "Your boyfriend?" "No." I said, one of those type of things. "Did you want to go out to have lunch?" She said, "Yes." So she said 11 o'clock. I said, "I'll be here every day to take you to lunch at 11 o'clock. She said, "Yeah, sure." And so every day at 11 o'clock, that's where I was. You see, the thing about being commitment, making a commitment to somebody, I go through with it. And every day at 11 o'clock, I would show up. Her friends would be on the corner like this, and in front of the building, and say, "Oh, here he comes. It's 11 o'clock. Here he comes." And so, I would take her, and she would tell me the story about, how she was living, how she had to walk to work. Her sisters would take her money, and where she stayed at. It was a family house. There was a lot of people in there, so she didn't have no privacy like this. And when she came in from work, she had to sleep on the floor like that, what have you. And when she was able to, she would spend the night at a friend's house. But her friend had, a boyfriend, so when he become visitor, she would have to sleep outside. And she resented that, because outside they had rats and all this stuff running around. So it was a very sad situation. But she was a very nice girl. And so, I asked her one day, I'm in the hotel, Dynasty Tourist Inn. And so I asked her one day, I said, "Look," I said, how much do you make a month?" And she said she made 7,000 pesos a month. So, and at this time, when I was taking her out, I took her out to dinner, I took her to a nice restaurant. It was very nice. It was very refreshing. It was very almost new, to get back into a point where I was able to treat, you know, a lady out. I put, I was a gentleman, and I was romancing her, you know, and it was good, having someone, who I can be a gentleman to again after coming off of, moving too fast. It was like, okay, how much it costs? Lay down, let's go. But slam bam, thank you, man, with those type of things. And yeah, I was 2 weeks into my, because I come in the middle of the month with $500, and I was going to make it 2 weeks, and I knew everything would come in. So um, my money was running out low. I've always run out of money. But she would buy me cigarettes and like this, and so which was nice. And at the time, I didn't really have any preconceptions of what Filipino girls were. Just going by how her and I were doing it. And her family wanted to meet me. Family said, my family wants to meet you. I said, "Oh no!" Now I wasn't naive enough to know that if you get involved with a Filipino girl, if you marry a Filipino girl, you're not marrying her, you're marrying a family. So one of those type of things. So I said, "No, no, no. This might be a good lesson for a lot of you." I said, "No, no, no." I said, "Whoever wants to meet me from your family, have them come to me."